Following a crushing first test loss to India in Perth in November, there was a moment when Australia's test team looked as tough they may have been, reached a cliff much sooner than predicted. 10 weeks, 5 test wins, and 2 significant series victories later, that seismic defeat in Perth feels like nothing but a bump in the road, with the horizon looking even better than expected. Australia finished a 7-test home and away summer with 5 wins, a loss, and a draw. It is worse record than the 6 wins from 7 they produced in 2023-24, but the performances were far more impressive. It was a summer where Australia showed versatility and adaptability in both decision making and execution across a vast spectrum of conditions and opponents. The team and selectors wore the criticism of running a closed shop after the defeat in Perth, instead opting to calmly stay the course and make just one injury-forced change in Adelaide. But they made bold calls when it was least expected. Having won in Adelaide and dominating 4 of 5 rainy days in Brisbane, they made the brave decision to pick the 19-year-old young Sam Constas in Melbourne. After winning in Melbourne, there was an expectation that nothing would change in Sydney, but their best player from the previous summer and arguably the most popular player in the dressing room, Mitch Marsh was dropped after scoring just 73 runs in 7 innings and replaced by Shield's best all-rounder, Bob Webster. In Sri Lanka, Australia's long-standing tradition of valuing incumbency over innovation was thrown into the Indian Ocean, and the result was a 2-0 sweep that left locals wondering which team was the home side. Across their last 4 tests in Asia, including the last 2 tests in India in 2023, they have found a blueprint for success, understand in captain Steve Smith, with Davis Head opening, picking one fast bowler and playing 3 spinners, or a third spinning all-rounder. Australia have won 3 tests and drawn 1, their best 4 test stretch of result on subcontinent since 2004. Australia's finger spin stock have hardly ever been deeper, with Matthew Kuhneman starring in Sri Lanka alongside Nathan Lyon, while Todd Murphy continues to impress despite limited opportunities. Reports of Smith's decline as a test batter were greatly exaggerated, as were fears of Australia's batting depth overall. Smith plundered 4 centuries in 5 test matches against peak Jasprit Bumrah in Brisbane and Melbourne, and against 2 of the most successful spinners to ever bowl in Galle, to zoom past 10,000 test runs and nudge his test average back toward 57, while looking every inch the batting 7th he was 6 years ago. Australia's overall run production returned to healthy levels. 9 centuries were scored by 5 different players across the summer. The performance of Inglis and Bob Webster, although he didn't make a century, and the looming return of Green means Australia is now flush with options ahead of World Chess Championship final, which will create a selection squeeze.